how great it makes them feel. Do you have any issues like that if you watch TV? Like when we're watching Outlander and they're all sitting around drinking their little whiskeys or whatever. Like, does that bother you?
No, that doesn't bother me. Sometimes if people are, you know, drinking around me
Yeah.
in person, it might,
Right.
be like, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sorry, do you want one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
no,
no.
yeah. Um, but I've gotten, good over the years now of, like, no, I don't drink anymore. Welcome to Raw Recovery. This week is my story. I want to say up front this time, up at the beginning of the video, since I usually wait till the end. Uh, if you are in recovery, if you have success with overcoming addiction of any kind, we want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. If you want to share your story, so that we can try to help other people with that story. Um, so, on that note, I'm Dylan,
I'm Chris.
and this is Raw Recovery. Alrighty, so last two videos were you, um, and so it was your addiction story. Second episode was your recovery story, love lady, and all that stuff. And this week is my turn, and then hopefully we'll get some guests on here.
We already got at least one of them lined up. It's just a matter of when we can get it to work out with her. But the lady I was talking about last week, Holly, the one that she was my client rep during my second relapse when I was there, when I was telling you about that I thought that I got away with it, and I kept saying for my mom, oh, you can call up there. They're not allowed to tell her anything, blah, 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 blah. And then lo and behold, Holly called me in there. So, but she's got a really good testimony, and I actually spoke to her today, and she said that she would love to be on here. So it's just a matter of when. And Candace, the other one that I spoke about, she said it wouldn't be anytime soon, but she does want to eventually come on here as well.
And those are people who were in recovery with you,
No,
or
they had been out of recovery for a pretty long time. They are now, I don't know what Candace does now. She was one of the ones that, she was one of the teachers though when I was first there. And then when COVID happened, I think that she moved back in to the center to help be there because it was hard for them to bring women in. They went through a very rigorous process getting them in there. And I think she was a part of that, but I don't know what she does there now. And Holly actually left for a little bit after COVID. She was a client rep. She left during COVID, and she's done her own thing. And I feel like she just recently went back to Love Lady. I don't know what she does there, but I want to say that she's a client rep again. Yeah, both have wonderful stories.
well, that's what we want. We want people to give us their story. We want to encourage people
Yeah.
that are currently in addiction or freshly in recovery. Encouragement of like, hey, yeah, you can do it. You know. Um. So anyway, this time it's your turn to ask questions.
Boy,
Um. Obviously, you already know the answer
I'm
to
not
all of them, but they don't, so you ask them anyway.
I'm not a good interviewer, so you might have to, yeah, if I start not sticking to the topics, you might have to wing me back in.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's go.
So why don't you tell me about your childhood?
Well, I was raised in a really good house. That sounds like I went to Hogwarts or something. I was in a good house.
Which house were you?
Gryffindor's fantastic. I love Gryffindor.
Slytherin.
Yeah, well, every for every hero, there's got to be a villain.
I tell you what, Slytherin, Gryffindor, Scottish, Irish, we're just not meant to be.
Yeah, that's because I am the proper lineage of Irish, unlike the wrong one of Scottish.
Listen here.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So no, I was raised in a good house. Both of my parents were there. Mom and dad both. Um, Still are together now. After I don't remember how many years they've been there. They've been together for,
I think your mom said like 30, 34, 35.
yeah, somewhere in there. Um, I have an older brother. He's 5 years older than me, and extremely protective of me. Um, and I was raised going to church. I was born on December 22nd, and I was in church for the Sunday service,
I love
or
that story.
the Christmas service.
I always love when your mom tells that story. So
So I've been literally in the church my entire life.
even when you were in the womb, as your mom likes to say, you were still going up in there. You weren't even born yet. Still in the church.
Yep, yep. So and we still go to that same church. It has moved and the name has changed, but it's the same church, and some of the people that go there have been there since before I was born and been there all through it.
Well, and JJ, who you do your other show with.
Yeah, the co-host of Treasures from Darkness, we grew up in the church together from 6th grade on.
Yeah.
Um, and he's got his own story, so we'll have him
Yeah.
on here too. But anyway, so raced motorcycles professionally for quite a long time and did pretty good at it. Won 11 national championships and had a lot of broken bones, and uh, yeah, had a lot of fun, and I miss those days, and I miss those times a lot. Um, but you know, to every nice story, there's a dark story. Um, and I had issues growing up. I had to, and I don't really know what to call them. Um, I was just really awkward. Had like my dad had to physically show me how to walk. And I don't mean like as a toddler, he finally learned how. I mean, I was like, however old you are in first grade, add a year to that. And I was the person that walks with their arms straight.
Yeah.
So my dad had to show me how to swing my arms, and I started realizing that uh, I didn't feel the way other people felt when something bad would happen. They were tore up and upset about it, and I was over there just like, "Yep,
You still do that.
yeah, well, I know, but I fake it now.
Yeah.
When I'm around people, I have to. I learned over time how to fake emotion.
Yeah.
And I do feel emotion. I don't feel it in the same way, and it's not as I don't get upset if somebody that I don't know dies. You know, well, yeah, they're dead. What do you want? If somebody I know dies, I feel it for uh a short amount of time, and then I'm kind of over it and I move on. Um, but that really kind of came in later, I guess.
After
Um,
your concussions, wasn't it?
no, it was before the
Well, I mean, like
concussions.
the
See,
feel, like your what you're saying about your feelings and stuff. Because I know that your walking and stuff came in earlier, but like, wasn't it after you'd had so many concussions when you started having that disassociation, sort of with like your feelings and stuff?
no, the feelings of empathy went really early. Well, not really early. I don't about 7.
Well, a lot of people they have like something traumatic that happens when they were younger. Did you ever have anything
Yeah,
traumatic
well,
happen or?
that's what I was trying to lead to. Is the dark side of everything when you have a good family
Yeah.
and a good at home thing, and you're in church from the time you're before you're born, and then you know people wonder like why do you have these issues later? And there is a physical aspect to it because of the motorcycle racing. I did have, I think 5, like that, around 5 concussions.
They
Um,
were all in the same spot of your head too, weren't they?
4 of them were, yeah, 4 of them were right there. And then the fifth one was, or no, I'm sorry. First three were right there. The
Mm.
fourth one was on the back of my head, and then the fifth one was right there again. uh, that one was my brother's fault.
I was about to say that was the one you had before me and you got together, wasn't it? When you did that thing.
Yeah, it was my brother's fault by default because he was hurt, so he couldn't. He raced motorcycles too, so he couldn't race. I was already retired. He asked me to fill in for him, so I did, and I wrecked in one of the sessions and gave myself another concussion.
That's kind of like when my brother asked you to race for him too, right before Mira was
Yeah,
born.
that's why I have 4 titanium pins in my shoulder. I'm not listening to him anymore. Um, he actually felt bad about that.
He did.
Um, but anyway, that so people, there is a physical, that side of it, but then the emotional side of it kind of ties into that as well. But then there's also, like when I was 6 to 7, somewhere in there, there was trauma in that with abuse and stuff, not family abuse. Nobody in my family did anything. It was somebody else. And sorry for the scraping noise.
There was a beetle up here.
Recording in our garage. Um,
Yeah, our house isn't dirty like that. That's gross.
but anyway, so, nobody in my family did anything. It was somebody else. But that's when people started making the comment, why don't you smile anymore? And I remember that clearly. I remember people literally, I was, I said somewhere between 6 and 7 years old, and adults would come up to me and say, why don't you smile anymore? You used to smile all the time. And I just stopped smiling. Um, Instinctively, I just kind of said, it's mine to deal with. And it's nobody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So I never told anybody for a really long time. And I never, when somebody would make a comment like that, like, why don't you smile anymore? Or why do you act different and stuff, it's just kind of like, I'm tired. I'm, sick. I'm whatever.
Well, I know that's one of the things that your mom says all the time is like she brings up how you were when you were little, how you loved on her and it was always mommy, mommy, mommy. And she said, and then one day it just stopped.
Well, and, I don't know why. Well, I guess I kind of do. I was going to say, I don't know why I thought that it was all mine to carry. I don't really know uh, why that is, but I do know, and it was because for a long time I thought it was my fault. So I just was like, well, then if it's my fault, then it's mine to fix.
Yeah.
And I'm still that way. If I mess something up, I want to fix it. I don't want anybody else to fix it.
Because of how your dad raised you.
Partially, but it's also somewhat instinctual.
Yeah.
Like it's not a learned thing. I mean, partially it is, but it's not solely a learned thing for me. It's also just in my bones because I have to redeem. If I mess something up, I have to redeem myself because I don't care if anybody else looks at me, nobody else looks at me any different because I messed something up. That doesn't matter to me. I see myself different. I've got to fix it so I can see myself correctly again. Um, there might be a touch of OCD in that. I really don't know. There's,
Well, you do have a lot of tism going on, so I wouldn't be surprised.
well, yeah, there is that. But anyway, so, um, that was when my attitude changed and when my personality kind of changed, and it's really stayed that way since. Um, in a lot of ways. And then the concussions came at a very bad time
Yeah.
because they came in my uh, not quite teens, so like 11, maybe 10, but 10 or 11 through my teens is when I had those concussions. So your brain's really
Well, that's what I was
starting
about
to
to say.
develop and do stuff, and I'm over here, beating it on the ground.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, that other thing happened to you at such a young age. So then you had that on top of all of your concussions and stuff, because your brain, I don't remember the age, but your brain's not fully developed, I don't feel like, until you're into adulthood at some point. So,
Well, they found now that uh, males anyway. I don't know about females, but males' brains are not fully developed until I want to say it's around 25.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, so, like, all of that kind of stuff. That I think that had a lot to do with what ended up happening. To all of your other psychological stuff because everything happened to you when you were still growing and learning, and your brain wasn't developed fully yet.
And so I had that, all those little things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also some just insecurities because I could, whoop, I could tell that I was different, that
Yeah.
I acted different, that I was awkward, and I did not like, let me rephrase that. I don't like being around people.
Yeah. Yeah, you're still like
Um,
that.
extremely antisocial, very introverted. I get really bad anxiety, even just going to Walmart.
Oh, I know.
I get like, you'll say, oh, we got to run by Walmart, and it feels like somebody stabbed me in the stomach with a knife. Like I cannot stand it. I start getting irritable, irritated, and just
That's why we
like,
do online shopping now.
yeah, that's why we have it delivered. But um, so I racing, motorcycle racing became who I was. I started racing when I was 5. I won my first championship at 6, and then went through a whole bunch of times of broken bones. Spent 2 years in a wheelchair and concussions and hurt and all kind of stuff. But I ended up, um, you know, when it was all said and done, I ended up with 11 national championships and was like, it's time for me to be done. Because I was given an ultimatum by a doctor. He said, "You can. Here's what you can do." I was in New Jersey at a race, had a wreck, broke my wrist in 5 places, and the doctor, my surgeon here, said, "Your choice is we can go in and do a surgery and fuse everything, so you'll never move your hand again. I mean, you can move your like fingers, you can do that stuff, but you won't be able to move your wrist around, or and you can race and you'll be fine. Or you can, we'll go in and do the surgery because I still had to have a surgery. It would have just been 2 surgeries otherwise, but I still had to have a surgery to clean up all the bone fragments and reset the bones in the right place. And um, he said, we can do that surgery. You'll be done. Uh, you'll have full use of your hand and everything, but you'll never be able to race again because my wrist is so weak. Because of that, I can't hold on to the handlebars right, to really race. Um, and I was, thought about it, and finally we were like, you know, yeah, I was 18. I had done a lot, been a lot of places, won a bunch, been on TV and in magazines, and it was like it's time to be done. So then I went into this whole big thing of, well, now who the crap am I? Because from 5 years old to 18 years old, I was the motorcycle racer. That's who I was. Um, in school, that's who I was.
So then let's just skip ahead after you stopped racing and everything. You know, what happened then? Did you like finally find who you were? Did you
No.
no?
Um, I mean, so yes and no. Um, I still try to find that thing that, as far as like what you do, you kind of tie your identity to.
Mm,
I'm still trying to find that thing, and that's kind of some of what this is.
right.
And drumming, although that's gone now too.
Well, it might not be forever.
Yeah, hopefully not forever. We'll see what UAB can do.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm still trying to find that. But I did find my identity in the sense of I know who I am because of who God says that I am.
Yeah.
And so even if I don't have the identity of, oh, this is what I do, I'm the the YouTube guy or the drummer guy or the
Mm.
whatever, I still have I know who I am as a person. I know who I am to God, so I'm good with that. Um, and that's actually an interesting story on its own. But anyway, um, that's the interesting story. But anyway, so yeah, I was after I quit racing at 18. Um, really shortly after that, I met who would become my first wife. Um, and we got married at 20. I was 20. Um, and that just wasn't a good deal,
I
you
know,
know.
that's why.
Yeah, but see, I'm smart, and you were not on screen when you did that.
Oh.
Um, but no, we were young. She already had a kid, and
She was a baby, wasn't she?
yeah,
The
when we
kid.
met, she was
Like 9 months old or something like that. Wasn't
no,
she?
no,
No,
no.
she was younger than that.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
when we first met, she was like 6 weeks old,
Oh wow. Okay.
maybe.
I always thought she
That's
was older
maybe
than that.
no. So anyway, we got married. We were married for 2 years, and I wasn't in a good place because I was dealing with all this emotional crap of who am I, the trauma stuff, the head trauma stuff. So I was on and off mood stabilizers, antidepressants, and antipsychotics, and I don't like medicine. I still don't take medicine, and
Have to make him take stuff sometimes.
it's to me it's a band-aid. I don't want a band-aid. I want to fix. Don't give me a pill. Fix it. Um, Doctors don't like me. Um, And so I was really, I guess, kind of in a constant state of withdrawal in a way. I'd be on the medicine for a few weeks, stop taking it. Be on the medicine for a few weeks, stop taking it.
Well, and I learned
And
with that Seroquel how easily it can just start messing with you too whenever you start stopping that kind of medicine.
yeah, and but that was the thing. And I so and then she wasn't ready to be in a marriage either. She was it was just not a good situation. It was really bad. So that added to the trauma. There was a lot of crap that happened. That added to the trauma. Then we got divorced. I was 22.
Hold on, wasn't there a time during that when you hit like rock bottom emotionally? Didn't something big happen?
But yeah, when we were going through the whole, you know, getting, you know, together, not together, get divorced, not divorced, all that kind of crap, I was uh quite, suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
Um Over the years during my kind of late teens, yeah, and through that time, uh, I tried about 7 times to just go ahead and punch my own ticket, and clearly that worked out well. Um, Real successful there. Uh,
This is news to
Fortunately,
me. I thought it was only the one time.
no, it was 7. But a guy I used to work with years ago told me, as I had mentioned it to him, he was a vet. He dealt with that too. Being a veteran, he had just retired from the army, and he said, "You know what that means? Because you couldn't pull the trigger." I said, "No, what? What does it mean?" He said, "It means you're a coward in the best way." And I was like, "I don't really know how to take that. I feel like you're calling me a coward, and that pisses me off." And he was like, "No, it means you found the strength somehow, whether it was because of just determination to not quit or because of fear of what would happen if you did pull it. You found the determination or whatever reason to not pull the trigger." He said, "So you're a coward because you couldn't pull the trigger, but it's in the best way because you wouldn't pull the trigger." And I liked that. I was like, that's kind of neat. I like the way that looks. So, um,
What happened with that last time, the very last time that you tried to do it? Very last time that you tried to kill yourself?
yeah, what do you mean? Like,
Like the story that you've told me before about what happened.
oh, yeah. So that, you mean on the actual instance that day? Or like what led to it?
The
Well, I
actual
don't know. You
instance.
have to flush questions out. I'm dyslexic.
Okay, well, I'm trying not to spoil it. The last time that you tried to kill yourself when everybody ended up showing up.
Yeah. So,
I hope you can edit this part out.
no, I can't. Um, so that day was like, this is it. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I quit. Um, Ticket being punched. Like, I'm done. And I had a compilation, or not a compilation, a mashup, I guess, that Hillsong did live in Miami. I still listen to it now. It took me years to listen to it again, but
One that you showed me, wasn't
yeah,
it?
From the Inside Out and With Everything. two songs, and it's about a 20-minute video, but it's a powerful video. And I was laying on the couch and had it playing on the TV, and had the pistol in my hand. It was loaded. Had one in the pipe, and I was ready. And I've been listening to it all day, singing to it all day, and I finally, was like, nope, this is the last time. I can't. I'm done. So as soon as this video ends, I'm just gonna pull it. And as it came to a close, as the song came to the video came to a close, I, had the gun to my head, I had my finger on the trigger, and I started pulling. And then I don't remember what happened after that. But I went from my perspective, it was gun to head, finger on trigger, starting to pull, putting pressure on the trigger. I could feel it. To I'm sitting up on my phone texting. I don't remember getting there. It's just I appeared.
Yeah.
There's a blank spot. And I was texting my mom my address. Didn't say why. Didn't nothing. They didn't know where I lived. I just texted my mom the address, and my dad showed up. He stayed for a little bit, and after that, Sharon Keffer, Miss Sharon, she's like my second mom. She showed up. My mom had called her after she called my dad. My mom called her, and she showed up. And then Miss Sharon told me later, and my mom, she said it was the weirdest thing. She said I was driving down whatever road it was, University or the Parkway or something, and she said I just got this like vision in my head of me, laying down, and and hovering over top of you was a demon, and there was an angel starting to push its way in between the two of you. And that was when your mom called. That was when I texted my mom, was when she was having that, timeline wise. And so it was just kind of.
Did your mom not show up that night?
No, she did. She got there
Okay.
a little bit after Miss Sharon got there. And, uh, that was the last time that I tried, was that time. And yeah, because after that, I guess because that one was more of a dramatic one. Still not that dramatic compared to a lot of people's suicide story or attempted suicide stories, but because it was the traumatic one out of all my other attempts, just because it caused so many people to show up. It was that was when I made up in my mind, no, this isn't an option. We're not doing that. I don't care how rough it gets. We're not doing that. I mean, I might go skydiving with a parachute that ain't quite packed right, but I'm not killing myself on purpose. And yeah, I haven't tried since. Now that doesn't mean that the problems went away. I fought depression and like debilitating depression for years after that. That was 10 years ago now.
You haven't been really having depression to the extent that you used to have it, have you?
No, I mean, I have days where I'm kind of down.
Yeah.
But I don't have that. Like when I say it was debilitating depression, I mean, I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat, which I still don't do that. But
Well, that's just because you're trying to lose weight.
well, no, I mean, when I'm depressed, I just don't eat. But I still go and do stuff.
Yeah.
I still go to work, still get out of the house, still go do what I have to do. I might not be happy doing it, but I do it anyway. Back then, it was like I literally just couldn't do anything. So that was a conversation with me and God that ended that one, ended that. But
So this is about addictions. So was there any, besides your mental health, was there any addictions that you dealt with?
yeah, so when we get into my adulthood, we're getting into 20
You said into adulthood. You mean you said end of adulthood. So what?
into
Oh, into. Okay.
about 20 probably. Yeah, right at the towards the end of 22, age 22, not year. Age 22 is when I started realizing, hey, if I drink what's in that can or that bottle, I feel like I did when I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talkative. I'm nice. I'm smiling. I'm, you know, I'm not anxious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not depressed. Like I felt like me, the real me, not this fabricated like don't talk to me. And started realizing that, so I started, you know, getting more into that because, you know, I wanted to feel like me again. And I still want to feel like me again because I'm still not me even now. Uh, not fully. And so from that was the end of age 22 all the way up until when? 2022? 2021. You have to talk louder than that.
21. I don't know how old you would have been.
Math.
28, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I'm a welder. I don't do
No,
math.
2020, because it was September of 2020.
Okay. Sure. Um, so I all through that time it was just like, and I wasn't drunk all the time. Like I wasn't, I was more of a binge alcoholic, I guess. Um, but I didn't quit all the stuff that I was doing, like as far as the church goes and stuff. I wasn't looking at it saying, well, I'm not good enough for the church anymore, so I'm just going to quit that. No, I was like, I know that I need to be there. I'm just going to keep going.
You show up there drunk sometimes?
Oh yeah, there was quite a few Sundays that uh, I played drums in the worship team.
Yeah.
I sang in the worship team sometimes. Ran sound sometimes. It just depended, but primarily I played drums.
You ever
Um,
sing while you were still drunk?
no, no, but there was quite a few Sundays where I was laying down before practice started backstage because the room was spinning. Get up, walk into the drum cage, play drums for rehearsal, go lay back down backstage after, and lay there until I heard the countdown stuff going. Go get behind the drums, put my in-ear monitors in, play the set, back to backstage, and lay down. Um, by the way, you know what a hangover feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You know how loud noises really suck when you have a hangover.
I
And
couldn't imagine.
I play drums, and we have in-ear
Mm-hmm.
monitors. So it was like, I'm causing my own torture
Yeah.
because every time I hit the kick, boom, boom, it's like, ow, ow, ow. But that to me, that's an example of what the church is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's an example of what the mercy of and grace of God is.
Because they had to have known that you were drunk when you were going in there.
Yeah, I mean,
You-
you know,
They had to have
it,
known either that or they could tell you were hungover. One.
yeah, and uh, go to work still good and hungover. Um, some of the prettiest welds I ever made though, because I was relaxed. Um, but yeah, so that went on for a while, and it was always a thing of like, I'm not trying to be drunk.
Mm-hmm. You're just trying to feel normal.
Well, it's not. It was like, well, I'm just trying that beer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to try that one. Well, I want to try that one.
I knew that
And then 15 in,
I knew that you had an issue when just out of the blue, that apartment we lived in, you walked home, you walked in the front door with a case of Corona just out of nowhere and just holding that case up like it was just normal. I was like, "What are you doing?"
is that not normal? I thought that's what people
No,
did.
it was not normal. I was like, "What are you doing?" Oh, I saw this case and I decided to get them. And you never drank them. That's what was even weirder.
I didn't. I didn't
That's what
drink
was
them
very weird.
because
They
I was
just
starting. I was starting to like guess in a way see that I had a problem, and so I bought it in that normal
yeah.
state of mind of like, oh yeah, I need another case.
Well, so
and
what?
then and then got home, and then it's got time to go get them.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I really need to though?
Yeah.
And so I just never did.
So what made you finally stop? Like, what made you finally realize it was a problem?
Uh, well, you did to some extent when you finally told me one day. You said, you know, you have a problem.
Did I really say it like that?
Yeah.
I don't remember saying it like that.
To which I think I replied with something like, "Well, that's awful rich of you to say. How
Yeah.
long? How long did you spend in rehab? I haven't been to one."
Well, I think
And I wasn't happy
yeah.
because
I
and
think I remember I compared it to heroin or something because
no, you didn't. But
I
what you
didn't.
said was, and the first part of the statement just pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I said what I said. It's like, well, who are you to tell me? You
Yeah.
spent 2 years in rehab. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
And you hadn't been clean
Right.
that
That
long
long.
at
Yeah.
that point. So I was like, well, we're still seeing how yours
Yeah.
goes. So how about you quit worrying about me? Um, but then the second thing you said in your statement that day was, or day, night, whatever it was you do realize that you're making it harder on me to stay clean when I'm seeing you not even trying with your issues.
hmm Well, that's
And
why
that,
I feel like I said something like that. And I don't think that you didn't understand at the time, but I think I even said that you didn't realize you doing that with the drinking and staying drunk around me was equivalent to putting out a line of heroin in front of me and snorting it up and then acting like, oh, it's no problem. And that was when you got really, you got irritated with me when I said that one too.
I don't really remember exactly, but that was the moment. And the thing is, I've never had a super addictive personality.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I was really necessarily addicted to alcohol. It wasn't necessarily that I liked the taste.
Who does?
A lot of people do. That's why they have non-alcoholic beer. Um, that's for the people, who are now sober but love the taste of it, and that's what the addiction is. They can drink that.
I only
Um,
like the taste after I'm already drunk.
but you know, it wasn't a taste thing. It wasn't even the feeling of being buzzed or drunk
Mm-hmm.
thing. It was the I feel like me again
Yeah.
thing. And so, you know, when given the hey, this is a problem, it wasn't difficult for me necessarily to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I say it wasn't difficult. It was still difficult. It just wasn't I had to go to rehab kind of difficult.
Well, I've always wondered this, and I don't think I even asked you when you were dealing with it, but did your body go through withdrawals? Or did you not do it enough to. Because I know there's some people, like, even when I was drinking real heavily in the midst of all of my stuff, when I would finally not drink for a little while, I could just feel my head was just really swimmy. And I've heard of other people, they could have, seizures, they get really sick. So you didn't have any like your body didn't have any type of reaction when you
No, for
stopped?
no, fortunately I didn't. It was just I'm done. I'm done. But I'm also the kind of person that when I make my mind up about something, that's it.
So do you still have you had any slip ups or any, issues with staying sober since you've stopped drinking?
Um, Only the one on that New Year's. Um, and even that was only three.
But you drank them so fast that you were
Oh, I drank them.
dog sick.
Oh, when I drank, I was trying to get to that feeling of
Yeah.
being me again. So I was like, when I drank, it was,
I
a
remember
normal bottled beer is only 3 gulps.
yeah. I remember
You know.
you were throwing up the whole next day.
Yeah.
But so
But that was the only real slip up I had. And you know, 3 beers for for a lot of people isn't even
yeah.
really considered drinking. It's like that's what you had with dinner. Um, and for me especially, because when I got to drinking, it was I drank, the case is gone.
Mhm.
That just means we go to the store and get another one
Yeah.
until I just pass out. Um, but yeah, that was the only slip up that I had.
So how has it been, mentally? Like have you had any things in your life happened that's made you want to start drinking again and you've had to fight yourself on it?
No, but the weird thing that does cause an issue is going to the store
Mm-hmm.
or gas stations.
Yeah, that's the thing that's different with alcohol and drugs. Because drugs, you don't see it in your face every day, no matter where you go. And that's where I think it's a big problem. And that's why so many people become addicted or become alcoholics because it's right in your face everywhere you go. You go into a grocery store, you go, like, as soon as you walk in, you can already see it. You have to pass by it at the grocery stores. It's crazy. And I think that's what causes so many people to start drinking at such a young age. That, and you got a bunch of those, like, little hometown gas stations that'll give teenagers alcohol. We have a lot of those around here. But when you have that coupled with, the easy access to it, it makes it really hard for people to stay sober. Drugs, it's illegal for the most part. And when your drug dealer gets arrested, it's hard to get
You're out of luck.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard because they're very particular about their connections. So sometimes you might get lucky and you might find, the plug that your drug dealer uses, but sometimes you don't have that. So that's how some people become sober. They lose access to their dealer and then they just ain't got no way to do it. Alcohol's completely different.
Yeah, well, it's, going into the gas station is that was the only struggle that I really had with it, was that.
You, oh, excuse me.
Pretty.
You have
It is late.
you haven't had any like for me, I talked about the miscarriages that we had. It made it really hard for me to stay sober. Did any of that affect you in that kind of way too, to where you wanted to start drinking again, or?
No, because like I said, the drinking was seen from my point of view as a means to be the person that I really am.
Yeah. So it's not something that would help you cope with something.
No, I cope with things by just dealing with them. No, I don't. To me, a, an issue in life is just an obstacle to overcome. It reverts back to my racing days.
Yeah.
The other people on the track are just things to be passed, and a struggle in life is just an obstacle to get over. So that wasn't the struggle for me. The struggle is when I'm being a jerk and I don't want to talk. Because there's times, obviously you know this, but there's times where, for no apparent reason to anybody at all that can be seen, I just don't want to talk.
Yeah.
I can be perfectly fine.
I feel like you had one of those today. Or maybe it was yesterday.
I can be perfectly fine here.
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds later, no more talking. Don't talk to me. I'm not replying. I don't want to talk. Leave me alone. And I don't know why. Why? Those moments is hard because I want to be me.
All right.
I don't want to be,
Mr. Grouchy Pants.
yeah, I want to be me. Um, and, alcohol did that. It allowed me to be talkative and friendly and funny and, not feel I can't breathe because the anxiety is so bad.
Yeah.
You know, um, now there was one, there are the times where if I get to talking about it, hasn't happened yet today, but when I get to talking about it, I have I can taste it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
I can
that.
feel how it feels going down your throat, and I'm like,
So how do you do
But-
with with me, I know certain TV shows, or in movies, like when we watch The Dirt, it didn't bother me to see them doing the drugs, but it bothered me to see when Tommy Lee would do what he was doing, and you could see just on his face, that he was high, and you could see how he was just feeling really good. That kind of stuff, I had to actually turn my head away, because then that's what makes me start missing it. It's not the act of seeing people doing it, it's the act of seeing how great it makes them feel. Do you have any issues like that if you watch TV? Like when we're watching Outlander and they're all sitting around drinking their little whiskeys or whatever. Like, does that bother you?
No, that doesn't bother me. Sometimes if people are, you know, drinking around me
Yeah.
in person, it might,
Right.
be like, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sorry, do you want one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
no.
Yeah. Um, but I've gotten, good over the years now of, like, no, I don't drink anymore.
Well, I know there was that one time when Jessica was over and she didn't know that, or no, it was me that said it. I wasn't even thinking. I think I had already been drinking, and we had brought the beer in the house, and I stupidly walked up to you and said, "Hey, do you want some?" And I can't remember if it was you or Jessica. One of y'all was just looking at me like, "Seriously?"
I don't know
I
if it
feel
was
like
me.
it was Jessica. I feel
Yeah.
like her not even being with us all the time, she even knew that you were in recovery, and she was like, "Christina, like, why would you ask it?" Well,
I don't, seeing people do it, especially like on TV and stuff, that's not a problem. But
yeah, I don't know. When we start seeing Jamie and Claire getting on up there if they're drinking, it kind of makes me want to get on their level.
it doesn't bother me any.
Claire
Um,
gets frisky.
but it is a struggle, I guess, because now in daily life, I have to, you know, figure figure out how to deal with the crap that I have somehow.
I know there's counseling for that.
Yeah. But sometimes, talking about it isn't enough.
Yeah.
You got to do more. Um, and there are such things as uh, brain injuries and uh, you know uh, chemical imbalances that you have, and those are real things. And some Christians, like well, you need to pray.
Like your mom.
Oh, really? You
Yeah.
think I need to pray, do you? Yeah, yeah. You need to pray. Like I haven't tried that
Yeah.
over the last 32
Need to
years.
pray it out of
You
you.
know, like sometimes God leaves the crap
Mm-hmm.
because you need to be reminded of why you need him. Um, the was
Saul.
it was it Paul
Well, Paul,
that had
yeah.
the thorn in his flesh?
I think it
Still
was his
don't
anger.
still don't know what it was.
I feel like it was anger. It was either him or Simon, but I feel like it
It
was.
wasn't Simon.
Then yeah, it was
Um,
him.
but he had the
Peter,
thorn in his
whatever.
flesh of whatever that was, and he even spoke to that in the Bible of like, I've asked that it be taken from me,
Yeah.
and here it sits, because maybe, you know, lest it be taken away and I start thinking that I'm something special
Mm-hmm.
because now I don't have any issues.
Well, that's like me with my thorn that I'm not gonna talk about on here, but the thorn that I've told you that I still deal with. You know, I've prayed and prayed and prayed to get that thorn taken away, and it's still here. That and my anger, that's really the main things that I struggle with.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, and especially when it comes to things like addiction and stuff, like you may not ever fully get to the point where you can 100% relax, and not have to worry about it creeping up, you know. But that's not that's not a problem. The sin doesn't come in the temptation. The sin comes
Doing it.
in the doing it. So it's like, but Satan will have you think otherwise. He'll sit over there and be like, "Ooh,
You
did
did
you
a
see,
no
did
no.
you see what you just thought?"
No.
Even though I'm the one that put the thought in your head, it's like, yeah. So,
Well, I am out of questions and I'm
well,
exhausted.
that's perfect timing because we just now hit. I'm blind. It's 50 something minutes,
Yeah.
so that is perfect time to end.
Yes.
Um,
Because I just
so
might fall out while we're sitting here. I'm so tired.
you look like it.
The sarcasm?
No, like you have that like
Oh. I haven't even taken my melatonin yet.
you have that droopy eyed look like Eeyore. Well, I guess I'm gonna go to bed.
I mean, like Cersei, how she always looks. I swear Cersei should have been a boy and name her. We should name Cersei Eeyore Jr. Give her like a
Yeah.
female
Well,
Eeyore name.
but yes, all right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode then. Same as always, if you're in recovery, we would like to talk to you. If you want to help people with your story, we want to talk to you. Like, subscribe, comment, share. And thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.